This is not a hero. This is 25 crowns of daily overhead with legs that will last you about 20 battles at best. And you will learn to see him that way. In the world of Battle Brothers, you're not a noble commander, not exactly. You're a CEO who can't afford to be sentimental. And this is the game that turns you into a heartless monster. And today, we're gonna break down how it masterfully forces you to pick the bottom line over the lives of your own men. In most role-playing games, you're sold a certain fantasy. The fantasy of the chosen one, the loyal band of companions, the heroes who, against all odds, save the world. We're taught that camaraderie, loyalty, and self-sacrifice are the cornerstones of adventure. Battle Brothers, a turn-based tactical RPG from Overhyped Studios, takes that fantasy, shoves it face first into the mud, stomps on it with a hobnailed boot, and then charges you for the privilege of watching. This isn't a game about heroes. It's a gritty, unforgiving management sim where your main resource is human life, and your goal isn't glory, but simple, brutal, economic survival. You don't lead a party, you run a business, and most of the time, it's a failing one. You might be called the captain, but your real title is CEO, and your brothers are not your comrades. They're assets on a spreadsheet, line items on a profit and loss statement. And every decision is a cold, hard business calculation. Who gets the good armor? Who's getting sent to the front to soak up a hit? Who gets fired because his new crippling injury makes him a drain on the company finances? Today, we're not just reviewing a game. We're peeling back the skin of this low fantasy world to expose the cold, calculating heart that beats within. And we'll analyze the mechanics, not as game systems, but as corporate policies designed to squeeze every last drop of value from your expendable assets. This is the story of how Battle Brothers forces you, the player, to shed your noble intentions and become the one thing every employee fears: a heartless, profit-driven CEO. Every story of corporate ruthlessness starts with the balance sheet. In Battle Brothers, your company ledger isn't just a feature, it's your entire world. It's the sun that rises and sets on your campaign, the tide that can lift you to prosperity or smash you on the rocks of bankruptcy. Before you even swing a sword, you're a bookkeeper, and the books are bleeding red ink. And forget strength and courage. Your two most important resources here are crowns and food. From day one, the clock is ticking. Every single man in your company, from your 3 starters to the dozen you might hire, draws a daily wage. This isn't just a one-time fee, it's a relentless daily drain on your treasury. And they need to eat. Every day your company consumes food. Run out, morale plummets. Your men get unhappy, they fight poorly, and eventually they'll abandon you, taking whatever precious, half-broken gear you gave them. Then there's your gear. Every battle wears down your equipment. That rusty mail shirt you looted? It needs repairs. Those spears and shields? They break. And repairs cost tools, another resource you have to buy, another line on your expense report. Forget to restock and you'll walk into your next fight with paper-thin armor and splinter shields, which is basically a recipe for a company-wide liquidation. And don't even get me started on medicine. Injuries aren't a possibility in Battle Brothers, they're a mathematical certainty. Without medical supplies, minor wounds can fester into permanent disabilities or even death. This creates a constant state of financial panic. You basically start the game in debt. Your daily expenses are a monster that must be fed constantly. A standard company of 12 men can easily cost you 200, 300 crowns or more per day in wages alone, plus all the food. You are forced to live contract to contract, like a gig economy worker in a world with way more giant spiders than even Australia can boast about. This economic pressure is the first chisel, chipping away at your humanity. You don't take a contract because it's righteous. You take it because it pays. A desperate village needs you to fend off some bandits. You don't ask how many are there. You ask what's the payout. The contract screen isn't a call to adventure, it's a job board, and you're scanning for the highest bidder. A 3-star contract to hunt dire wolves in the dead of night? Incredibly dangerous, but it pays 1500 crowns. That's 5 days of wages. You look at your dwindling gold, you look at the hungry faces of your men, and you sign on the dotted line. You're not a hero weighing the risks, you're a manager trying to make payroll. The world map becomes a logistical nightmare, a constant race between travel time and food consumption. Do you take the safe road that adds 3 days to your journey? That's 3 extra days of wages and food costs. Or do you risk the shortcut through the haunted forest, knowing an ambush could wipe out half of your company? Your inner CEO pulls out the calculator. The decision isn't about bravery, it's a cost-benefit analysis. The constant pressure to stay solvent fundamentally changes how you see the world. Towns aren't places to rest, they're marketplaces. You learn to buy low and sell high, buying grain in farming villages and hauling it to desert cities for triple the price. Your journey stops being a grand tour and becomes a supply chain route, optimized for maximum profit. You become a merchant, a haggler, a ruthless capitalist, all before you even think about the morality of your next fight. The game doesn't just allow this, it demands it. It's lesson number 1 in becoming a heartless CEO. Cash flow is king. If the economy is the forge, then the recruitment system is the hammer that shapes you into a monster. Welcome to the Human Resources Department, where the policies are draconian. In this company, employees are not family, they are a renewable and highly expendable resource. When you start a new campaign, you might be tempted to hire the best guys you can find. You'll see a sellsword in a tavern, a grizzled veteran with impressive stats, or maybe a hedge knight clad in steel. You see their potential, their high melee skill, and their decent starting armor. Then you see the price tag. 1,000 crowns just to hire plus a daily wage of 50 crowns or more. Your startup is running on fumes. You can't afford top tier talent. So you scroll down the list of candidates. And there you find the lifeblood of your early game company, the dregs of society. Beggars, thieves, cripples, fishermen, daytailers. These aren't aspiring heroes. They're desperate men, and more importantly, they are cheap. A beggar might cost you 40 crowns to hire and demand a paltry 5 crowns a day. His stats are terrible. He's probably a coward. But he is cheap. And so the CEO mindset takes root. You're not looking for a hero, you're looking for a warm body to fill a slot on the front line. You hire Gunther the beggar not for his potential, but for his price point. He is a piece of equipment, a human shield you're essentially renting. His job description is simple: stand in the front, hold a shield, and probably die. The game's combat mechanics actively encourage this view. A core mechanic is the zone of control. Anyone next to the enemy is engaged, and moving away gives the enemy a free attack. This means you need a front line to hold the enemy in place, pinning them down so you move more valuable damage dealers in the back so that they can do their work. Gunther the beggar's job is to be that living wall. You put him on the flank, the most dangerous spot, because if he dies, the financial loss to the company is minimal. You can hire another beggar in the next town for less than the cost of a new shield. And then you start categorizing your employees. You have your tier 1 assets, the archers in the back, the guys with two-handed swords you've invested thousands of crowns into. These are your high-value assets. And then you have your tier 3 assets, the cheap recruits whose only purpose is to protect the tier 1 assets. The expendables, the untouchables. Now imagine this. You're in a tough fight with bandits. A raider with a pointy spear is about to flank your prized archer. Let's call him Dietmar. Now, Dietmar has cost you a fortune. He has the Eagle Eyes perk, a good bow, and he's responsible for like half of your kills. Losing him would be a catastrophic loss. But next to him is Gunther the beggar, armed with a broken spear. You have a choice. You can either move Dietmar away, but he can't shoot this turn then. Or you can move Gunther the beggar into the bandit's path. It's a suicide mission. But Gunther's death will buy Dietmar another round of shooting. What does the CEO do? Well, it's not even a question. You click on Gunther, you move him into the path of certain death. You don't hesitate. It's the correct strategic and economic decision. You just sacrificed a man's life without a second thought to protect a more valuable asset. You might even feel a flicker of pride at your cold tactical genius. You just saved the company from a significant financial setback. The cost? One beggar. A rounding error. And this happens over and over and over. You hire cheap guys, give them busted gear, and put them in the meat grinder. If they survive, they gain experience, they level up. They might even become... useful. Suddenly, this disposable asset starts to look like a long-term investment. This is the moment the game tricks you into feeling attached. But the CEO inside you is always whispering. He is better now, sure, but is he as good as that adventurous noble you could hire if you just had more gold? The moment a better investment opportunity comes along, you'll be tempted to liquidate the old asset. That's just good business. In the corporate world, nothing is more terrifying than the performance review. That time when your value is quantified, your weaknesses scrutinized, and your future decided by a manager staring at a spreadsheet. In Battle Brothers, every single battle is a performance review. And the consequences aren't a strongly worded email. They're permanent, debilitating, and often lead to a very final form of termination. This is the injury system, the cruelest, most brilliant mechanic for turning you into a heartless CEO. When your men take damage, they don't just lose hit points, they suffer specific injuries. For example, a heavy blow might result in a broken arm. A mace to the face could cause a split nose, but sometimes the injury is permanent. This is where the game introduces asset depreciation. A brother who survives with a missing eye now has permanently reduced ranged skill. That archer you were investing in, he's now a liability. A frontliner who suffers a brain injury has his resolve permanently lowered, making him more likely to panic. A brother with a traumatic head injury will gain less experience from now on. He is, in corporate terms, a depreciating asset. Let's talk about Conrad. He was one of your starting brothers, a loyal shield bearer who has saved the company more times than you can count. He is high level, you've invested in his perks, and you just spent 4,000 crowns on a magnificent suit of armor for him. He is a pillar of your frontline. But then comes the battle against the barbarian with two-handed axe. Luck isn't on your side. The axe connects. Conrad survives, but the aftermath is devastating. A permanent injury. Missing nose. It almost sounds funny, but the effect is anything but. A missing nose permanently guts his resolve stat. A unit with low resolve is more likely to panic when things get scary. And so, Conrad, once your unshakable rock, is now a weak link. He has become a risk. So, what do? Here comes the CEO called Calculus. Option 1. You keep him. He's a veteran, he's earned his place. But you know he's a liability. Every time you face something terrifying, you'll be worried about Conrad's nerve breaking. He is now a management problem. Option 2. You reassign him. Take him off the front line, give him a polearm or a pitchfork to the back row. He'll be safer, but you need a new tank. You now have to spend money and time training a replacement. His high melee defense is now being wasted. His ROI has tanked. Option 3. The severance package. You take him to a quiet village, open his character sheet and click dismiss. You pay him a pittance and he's gone forever. You've just fired the man who built your company because he wasn't performing to spec anymore. You take his 4,000 crown armor and give it to his cheaper, healthier, more promising replacement. And you don't look back. it's what's best for the company. This is the brutal reality of Battle Brothers. It makes you look at your men as a collection of stats, and a permanent injury is a permanent debuff. As a manager, your job is to minimize weaknesses. The game forces you into decisions that feel monstrous, but are, from purely logical and economic standpoint, the correct ones. You become a master of cutting your losses. That promising recruit who took a mace to the knee and now has a lame leg? Dismissed. The archer with a ruined shoulder? Dismissed. The grizzled veteran who has become old and suffers stat penalties? Dismissed, with a slightly larger but still insulting severance package. You're trimming the fat, optimizing your workforce, and all it costs is your soul. Now, if you find this analysis of corporate cruelty as fascinating as I do, and you've ever had to make a cold, calculating choice in a game, press that like button. And if you've got your own story of a heartless CEO moment from Battle Brothers, or any other game for that matter, drop it in the comments. I want to hear about the time you fired your best friend for the good of the bottom line. Now, let's get back to the quarterly review. Every contract in Battle Brothers is a project, and every successful CEO is a project manager. Their job is to assess the scope, allocate resources, mitigate risks, and ensure the project comes in under budget. Here, under budget means with an acceptable number of employee casualties. And this is where the game forces you to embrace the dark art of calculating return on investment. Not the payout on the contract screen, that's for amateurs. The true ROI is a twisted equation that includes potential loot, cost of medical supplies, projected casualties, and, here's the really dark part, the replacement cost of dead employees. Let's break down the process. A client offers you a contract. Clear out bandit hideout, 800 crowns. An aspiring hero sees a chance to bring justice to the wicked and peace to the village. A rookie commander sees 800 crowns. A seasoned CEO sees an underfunded project proposal with high hidden costs and asks the only question that matters. What's the profit margin after acceptable losses? You accept the job and scout the bandits' hideout. A sizable force of brigand raiders. Raiders wear mail, carry good shields, and have a leader. This isn't some weekend team building exercise. This is a high-risk venture. Your armor will take a beating. That's tools and repair costs. Higher chance of injuries, that's medicine. Higher chance of death, and here's where it gets interesting. Because death isn't just tragic in Battle Brothers. Death is a line item. You open your roster, 12 men, 2 high-value veterans you've invested thousands in, 4 solid mid-tier professionals, 6 cheap new hires, beggars and farmhands and such, earning 8 crowns a day. And suddenly, you're doing mental math that would make a Fortune 500 CFO proud. Now, if I lose 2 veterans, that's catastrophic. Months of investments, poof, okay, goodbye. But if I lose 2 of the new guys, replacement costs maybe 150 crowns in total. I can hire 2 more beggars in the next town before lunch. So you start planning the fight not around who survives, but around who's allowed to die. The raiders have archers. Archers target the backline. Your master archer is back there. He's worth like 8,000 crowns of investment and generates half of your kills. Unacceptable loss. So you do what any good manager does. You assign a junior employee to handle the problem. You put cheap recruit number 3 on the flank, the most exposed position, specifically to draw fire away from your highly valuable assets. His job description is simple. Absorb arrows meant for someone more important. And you're not even angry about it. You're proud of your tactical acumen. Then comes the loot calculation. Brigand raiders drop quality gear. Mail shirts are worth 1200 crowns after repairs. Maybe a named weapon of the leader, that's 3000 crowns you don't have to spend at the armory right there. Suddenly, this isn't 800 crown contract anymore. This is 4000 crown opportunity. The math starts looking better. Final calculation, 800 crown payout plus 3000 in projected loot minus 200 in supplies and replacement costs for 2 dead recruits. Net profit, 3600 crowns. The project is greenlit. 2 men will die today. You know this. You've planned for this. You've already mentally allocated which two, and when it happens exactly as predicted, when you're standing over their corpses, looting their bodies for anything valuable, you don't feel guilt. You feel vindicated. Your projections were accurate. You came in under budget. That's good management. This is the sickness the game creates. You start to think of battle as a spreadsheet written in blood. Every contract becomes a cost-benefit analysis where human life is just another variable. You go into fights with a target number. I can't afford to lose 3 men on this one, and as long as you stay under that number, you consider it a success, even if you're dragging bodies back to camp. You've stopped being a commander leading men into battle a long time ago. You're a portfolio manager calculating acceptable losses on your investments, and the game rewards you for this. The companies that thrive, that make it today, say 200, day 500, aren't the ones led by sentimental fools trying to save everyone. They're led by cold-blooded CEOs who learn to put a price tag on loyalty and realize it's almost always too high. So let's come full circle. Remember that asset we talked about at the beginning, the entry on a balance sheet with a daily upkeep cost of 25 crowns and an expected combat lifespan of 20 battles? Here's what Battle Brothers teaches you. He was never anything more than that. Not when you hired him, not when he survived his first fight, not when he leveled up and you gave him a name instead of calling him Recruit Number 7, not even when he saved your company by holding a line against impossible odds. He was always just an asset. The only thing that changed was you and how long it took you to accept that truth. This game is more than a challenging tactical RPG. It's a profound and unsettling examination of what happens to your values when survival demands you abandon them. Through its relentless economic pressure, its brutal injury system, its permanent consequences, Battle Brothers doesn't just allow you to become a heartless CEO. It teaches you, conditions you, trains you, indoctrinates you, and ultimately rewards you for it. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. The game isn't lying to you. It's not some cynical, nihilistic fantasy. It's honest. Brutally, uncomfortably honest about what leadership looks like when you strip away all the romantic bullshit. In a world of scarcity and survival where every decision is life or death and the margin of error is measured in single-digit gold pieces, heroism isn't just impractical. It's expensive. And it's a luxury you literally cannot afford. The game forces you to confront a question most RPGs let you ignore. What is a life worth? And it answers with cold precision. Exactly as much as it costs to replace it. You might start your first campaign with noble dreams. You name the 3 brothers you start with. You'll craft backstories. You'll imagine yourself as a legendary commander leading loyal companions to glory. But by day 200, you'll be staring at your roster the way a day trader stares at stock tickers. You'll see a promising level 4 with good stats and think, solid mid-term investment. You'll see a veteran with a permanent injury and think, depreciating asset, liquidate before total loss. You'll plan battles around acceptable casualty rates. You'll dismiss men who fought beside you for 100 days because their injury makes them 15% less efficient. And efficiency is everything. Oh, and the most terrifying part, you won't even feel bad about it anymore. That's the real genius of Battle Brothers. It doesn't just make you a monster, it makes you a rational monster. Every heartless decision you make is the correct decision. The game's systems are so brilliantly designed that choosing humanity over profit is choosing failure. The CEO who keeps the injured veteran out of loyalty is the CEO who goes bankrupt. The commander who refuses to sacrifice pawns to protect his queen is the commander whose company gets wiped out on day 50. So you make the hard choices. You fire the loyal. You sacrifice the brave. You put a price on everything, including your own soul. And you discover that in the grand ledger of Battle Brothers, Your soul is worth exactly 0 crowns and contributes nothing to the bottom line. This is not a hero. This is an asset on a balance sheet. And if you play long enough, you'll realize the same thing about yourself in real life. If this deep dive into corporate monstrosity resonated with you as it did with me, hit the like button, please. Subscribe if you want more analysis that examines not just what games make us do, but what they make us become. And drop a comment telling me about your own heartless CEO moment. It's the time when you made a decision in a game that was tactically perfect and morally unforgivable. I want to hear about the exact moment you realized you'd lived long enough to become a villain. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to run, and recruit number 12 is starting to look like a liability. Thanks for watching.